Hey everyone, welcome to the first video of the Maine Tutor Zone. Today we're going to be talking about rounding numbers. So first off, why is rounding numbers even useful or important? First off, rounding numbers is just easier to use, and we're going to see examples of that in our later on. And sometimes only a estimate is needed. And sometimes certain place values are only allowed. And we're going to see examples of all three of these in our examples. So first off, the steps. Step one, first you need to find the place that you need to keep. Step two, you look to the number that's to the right. If that number, the number to the right is between 0 to 4, you don't change the number that you want to keep. If the number to the right is between 5 to 9, you add 1 to the number that you want to keep. And step 5 is all the numbers that you don't need, which are all the ones to the right, you change to 0. So let's start with an example. Let's keep the hundreds place. Okay. Let's keep the hundreds place. Okay. So step one, find the number you want to keep, the 5. Okay. Step two, the number to the right. That's a 3. Okay. So number we wanted to keep was a 5. The number to the right was a 3. Now, the number to the right, it was between 0. So is it between 0 to 4 or 5 to 9? It's between 0 to 4. 3 is between 0 to 4. So we don't change this number. Okay? So we're not going to change this. And the other step says, after you have done these steps, you change the numbers you don't need to 0. So we wanted to keep the 5. Everything else we don't need. So we change it to 0. So we just rounded this number to the hundreds place. 12,538.904, that's a mouthful, now is 12,500 because these zeros after decimal you don't need. Okay, let's do another one. Let's keep the 9. Okay, so you guys should always be writing your math problems out on a piece of paper and starting the whole problem fresh. So step 1 said that we need to find the number that we want to keep. So we wanted to keep the 9, right? Now we look to the number that's to the right, and that is our 0. Okay, so we want to keep the 9, and we see what the 0 tells us. 0 between 0 to 4 or 5 to 9. That one's pretty easy because 0 is right in the range. We don't change the number. Okay, so it's going to be that, which we don't need those zeros. Right? Now let's do one where it's in the 5 to 9 range. Okay, so let's choose, let's see, which one's a good 5 to 9 range? Let's keep 8. Okay, let's keep the 8. Okay, okay, so let's see if we can do this one without looking at the steps. Okay, so we want to keep the 8. We look to the number that's to the right. That's the 9. And don't forget, 5 to 9, we add 1. So we're going to add 1 to 8. Okay, so 1, 5, 3, 8 plus 1 is 9. And again, you don't need those zeros. So this number rounded is 1,539. And that makes sense that it would go up because isn't 9 closer, isn't 0.9 closer to 9 than it is to 8? So that's how rounding numbers work. So let's look at a quick example. So let's say we had 121. Okay, we're going to round to the tens place. Would you say it should be 120 or 130? 120, because that's a lot closer, right? That's how we have the range, okay? So now let's go on to one of our examples. Officer Vessel wants to know an estimate of how many came this year so they can plan for the next year. Round each number stays to the hundredths place, and then figure out how many customers they should expect for next year. So this is an example where an estimate is only needed. They don't need to know down to the lobster how many lobsters that they need. They need just an estimate. Okay? And it's easier to use because we're going to estimate first. And would it be easier to add smaller or less complicated numbers than this? I'll show you what I mean in a second. So let's round. So we want to round to the hundredths place, right? So that's the 9 and that's the 4. Okay? So the 9, back at our steps, look to number to the right. So 9, we're going to look at the 4. And our range is 0 to 4, we're going to keep that number. And 5 to 9, we're going to add 1. So 4 is in 0 to 4, we're going to keep this. So change the rest to zeros. Roughly 1,900 people came. Let's go to this one. Keep the hundreds place, look to number to the right. Now pause the video and see what you guys get for an answer. Okay, so 6 is between 5 to 9, right? So we're going to add on 1. So it's 2500. Okay, so we did estimates. Now, estimates, so rounding numbers is easier to use. Isn't it easier to add this than it is to add that and that, right? So bring down your zeros. 9 plus 5 is 14. Carry 1, 2, 3, 4. So roughly 4,400 people came. Okay, so they know that they need roughly that many lobsters. Okay, now let's look at an example where certain place values are only needed. And a big one that you'll see everyday life is money. Okay, so Candy World is having their Halloween sale where all candy is half the listed price. Now key to know in word problems, you see something is half off, where they want half of something, it means you're going to divide by 2. Okay? Then to avoid discount, 2 customers' bills came to $25.83, $18.99. After the discount, so it means we're going to have to find it. What did each person have to pay? So let's do these up. The first one was $25.83. Okay, so let's do the math out. Okay, 2 goes into 2 one time. And we're going to do this one long division. I'll do the other one short division. 2 goes into 2 one times. 2 times 2 is 2. 0, bring down your 5. 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. That's 1. Bring down your 8. 2 goes into 18 9 times, which is 18. Bring down your 3. 2 goes into 3 once, minus 2. Oh, I still have something here, so don't forget, you just tack on a 0, bring down zeros, because you can always add on zeros to a number after the decimal. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Yeah, okay, so after the discount, they have to pay, oh, and don't forget, your decimal goes right up. Your decimal just goes right up. 12, 9, 15. What? How do you pay 915 cents? That doesn't work. So that's where we need to round. And your receipt actually does this for you. Like the computer does it for you. And that's how you end up knowing what to pay at the grocery store or when you're spending your Christmas money. That I left a 0. Okay, so we need to round this. So in money, we always keep the hundredths place, right? This place we want to keep. So we look to the right, the 5. So go back to our ranges. Okay, now see if you guys can remember for yourselves what goes here. Who said keep for the 0 to 4 range? That means the 5 to 9 is add 1. So 5 means we're going to add 1. Okay, so 12.92. So this person would have to pay $12.92 for their candy for this sale. Okay, now let's see what the other person had to pay. I want to keep that. Didn't work. There we go. I want to keep that up there. Don't want to delete that. Okay, so $18.99. I'm going to do this one short division. Okay, bring your your decimal right up. Okay, 2 goes into 18 9 times. 2 goes into 9 4 times. 1 left. 2 goes into 19 9 times. 1 left over is 0. 2 goes into that 5 times. Okay, so you end up with 949.5. So again, we have too many here, and we need to round. So let's bring it here. Actually, I don't want the number. So 949.5. You want to keep the 9. Look to the right. 9 is in the +1 range. So we're going to add 1. So this is an example that you're going to see sometimes. So let's do this. 9 plus 1 is 10. Oh, whoops. We're at our same problem again. Should I put it like that? No, because that's less, right? And we're rounding up because we're adding 1. Okay? So what you do is this. Okay? So if you were to add 9 plus 1, you'd get 10, right? Like we said, but you would carry the 1. So that brings it to 5. So they got paid $9.50. Okay? So anytime that you have a 9, so let's go back to our original. Here, let's just make one. If you had 197, okay, and you wanted to keep the tens place, we have to add on 1, right? Because it's 5 to 9 is between the range. Add the 1. 9 plus 1 is 0. Carry the 1, 20. So 200 would be what the answer was, okay? So that's what I have for you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Comment something that you learned, something that you thought was cool. And if you think that candy sale is pretty cool. And hope you guys have a good time.